Hello and welcome to Season 5, Episode 3 of Non-League to Legend. I'm Kev, and coming up on today's episode I've got an away game live comm against Crawley in League 2. But before we get onto that, let's have a look to see how the last month of the season has gone. So, last episode was the big match against my former team, York, where we just conceded a late goal in either half. We seemed to play quite well, but last-minute equaliser, complete nonsense. Didn't enjoy that one very much at all. And former players have started questioning my position as manager of Exeter at this point. Possibly a little bit soon. Bearing in mind, at that stage, we were only 5 games into the season, and we got in the playoffs last year when we were supposed to finish 17th. So, Sean Taylor, whoever you are, I've never heard of you, that says a lot. Sean Taylor, you can do one. And then we went and did that in the next game to really show Sean Taylor what's what. And a new hero was born in this game. Daniel Trickett-Smith. He's been in the side all season, but he's finally starting to find his feet. And he created 2 goals. He created both of Jonathan Abika's goals in this game, and was just outstanding. His link-up play between the midfield and the attack was excellent all the way through this match. Just really, really happy with what he had to offer. And it was good to see Novak and Abika get 3 goals between them as well. It's starting to form a little bit of a partnership there. So very, very good result against Mansfield. Not so good against Doncaster, where we pretty much played the same team. Again, Novak and Abika playing okay. Abika created a goal for Novak. Trickett-Smith was very absent in this game. But the interesting thing about both these games, the Doncaster game and the Mansfield one, is that in both of these games, we created 4 clear-cut chances, and the opponents created 4 clear-cut chances. When we did it at home, we won 3-0. When we did it away, we lost 4-2. Something about this system is it's a little bit too gung-ho for my liking. It's creating a lot of chances, but it's providing a lot of chances for the opposition as well. And if it comes down to a battle of whose forwards are going to be most clinical, I just don't feel confident enough in mind to back them to be the most clinical forwards on the pitch week in, week out. So something needs to change. And we changed it in this game, away to Bristol Rovers, and we went to a 4-2-3-1. Anyone who watched my my Tottenham save or my FM16 Posh save would have seen me use this system pretty much exclusively in those 2 saves. I experimented with it very briefly back in Season 1 when I was at Boston. It didn't really work, so I've not been back to it since in Non-League to Legend. But we finally have the players at the club who can probably make it work. So I switched to it, and although we lost 2-2, remember this is against Bristol Rovers, the team who absolutely battered us in the playoff semi-final last season. And I think we played really, really well. Trickett-Smith was outstanding again. So we had him behind Abika, who was the lone striker, and then Drury and Novak wide. Ideally, it wouldn't be Adam Drury playing on the wide midfield position, but at this point we didn't really have the players to have any other options. Paul Taylor's still injured. Declan McManus probably could have come in, but I went for Drury just because he's a little bit more of a wide player than a forward, whereas McManus seems to be more of a forward. But I was really encouraged with how we played, so I went out and signed some players who could play in that system. So Johnson Clark-Harris comes in on loan. The latest in a long line of forwards to come to Exeter who have formerly played for Peterborough United in real life. Clark-Harris played about 1 game years ago. He was never any good for us, and went on to Rotherham, where he's had quite a half-decent career, really. But he's come in. He can play as that lone striker. He's comfortable as a target man or an advanced forward poacher. So he's got pace. He's got strength. He's good in the air. He's a good finisher. So a good all-round forward to play as a lone striker. But he can also play as an inside forward out on the left wing as well. So he's got the potential to be in either of those 2 positions. But I'd be quite happy to have this guy as my lone striker for the 3 months that he's at the club on loan. Unfortunately, probably not going to be able to bring him in January, because we don't have £500,000 knocking around to do that anymore. We've pretty much spent all our money. So we might get, if he does well, we might be able to get him on a longer loan until the end of the season, or it might just be a 3-month, get him in, and then try and find a replacement in the transfer window type deal. We've also brought in a couple of wingers. First one is Jake Kenyon, who's come in on loan from West Brom. He's 20 years old. He plays as a left winger, but he's comfortable playing as an inside forward out on that side as well, which is the role he'll be playing for me. And Jack Stacey comes in on loan from Reading, 23-year-old winger. He can play on either side, comfortable playing as an inside forward on either side. And again, that's exactly what he'll do for me. He'll play as an inside forward, either on the left or the right. And it's good to have some options as widemen. We've not really had wide players in my time at Exeter, so it's going to be fun to get some width into our game again that's not just coming from our fullbacks. So we use this system in the next game, which was at home to Luton. Daniel Trickett-Smith was superb again. He scored one, made one, and new boy Jonson Clark-Harris got the other, made by Trickett-Smith. Clark-Harris got man of the match, but we all know this was the Daniel Trickett-Smith show. Really played well. And then in the next game, we won 4-1 at home to Dagenham and Redbridge. We might have found our system here. Trickett-Smith, superb again. Scored a goal. Owen Garvin was brilliant, playing a box-to-box midfielder. Created 2 goals. Jack Stacey, one of the other new signings, scored one and made one. Clark-Harris scored again. I might have cracked it, folks. With regard to the board at the end of the month, they're finally starting to recognise Trickett-Smith was a superb signing. They're still pleased with my management, but particularly happy with him coming in. He actually got runner-up in League 2 Player of the Month as well. And bearing in mind it was only last episode, I was still expressing some doubts about him. They're all well and truly gone. He is our star man and could be sold for big money at some point over the next year if he carries on the way he is, which is awesome. They're not so happy with Adam Chapman, and to be honest, neither am I. We spent money on him. He was about 150,000, and especially now we've dropped the idea of the diamond, there's not really a space for him in the team. So he could be another expensive mistake for me, and that's becoming a little bit of a theme whenever I spend money. All my best signings seem to be free transfers. Perhaps I should stop spending money. And that's the league table after 10 games. So we've played another 6 games since last episode. We've now won 4, drawn 2, lost 4. We're up to 10th. I was runner-up for League 2 Manager of the Month, as well as Trickett-Smith for Player of the Month. So we have had a good month. We're in good form. And hopefully that's going to carry on through to today's game. So we're away to Crawley. This is the system that we've been using for the last few games, so I don't see any reason to change it. So we're going to have Christy Pym in goal. What has become a more settled back four for us now of Cameron Gale and Ben Tilney, of course, as our fullbacks, and then George Ray and Remy Steele as the centre-backs. It does mean dropping the peg, but these two are in much better form than he was, so happy to keep these there. And we've got the peg and O'Connell and McConnell all ready to step in if either of these two slips up or drops into poor form. In central midfield, we've got Marlon Pack as a deep line playmaker on a defend instruction, where he has played incredibly well. And Owen Garvin, box-to-box midfielder, he has been very, very good in that role as well. We've got 2 League 1, if not Championship central midfielders playing in positions they're very comfortable playing in, and it's working in that central midfield. And then the 3 behind the front players. We've got Jonson Clark-Harris up front as a deep line forward on support, with Daniel Trickett-Smith behind him as a shadow striker. And then these two, probably the biggest question marks at the moment. They're both playing as inside forwards on attack. I'm not sure if that's going to be the long-term thing, but Lee Novak on the left, Jack Stacey on the right. I am waiting for Paul Taylor to get fit so he can come in on the left, and then perhaps we'll move Novak over to the right, or maybe Stacey will continue playing there. He's been playing well. But the idea at the moment is that Novak and Stacey tuck in and Tilney and Gale push on them on the overlap to actually give us the width. And these two are playing much narrower. So when it's working and we're pushing on, Novak and Stacey are the most attacking central players on the pitch. And then Clark-Harris and Trickett-Smith in behind them, both looking to make runs pushing on, and it seems to be working really well. And Trickett-Smith in particular is getting a huge amount of space, and he's really enjoying himself playing in this system. On the bench, we've got Jake Turner as the goalkeeper, then we've got the Peg and Jack O'Connell as centre-back options. Adam Chapman and Sam Foley can both come in and play in this central midfield role. Chapman can also play out wide on the right, and we have experimented when we're trying to close a game down with putting him as a wide midfielder on the right and going to sort of a lopsided version of this system where we have Chapman here and keep Novak or Stacey up on the left, and then Jonathan Abika, who can play up front or wide on the left, and Declan McManus, who can play up front or wide on either side. So we've got lots of options on the bench. It does mean that a lot of our summer signings aren't even getting in the side or even on the bench, and we have got quite a bloated squad that we're going to have to look to trim some players from in January. Adam Drury can't get a look in. Tom Youngs, what a waste of £250,000. McConnell, we've already talked about. Tutonda, he's a backup for Tilney. He won't play unless Tilney gets injured. Denzel Bodu signed as a back as well. I signed him to be the shadow striker when Trickett Smith was struggling earlier in the season. He got injured straight away, and I just don't see him pushing Trickett Smith out of the way, so he's going to have to fight his way into contention, and at the moment that doesn't even put him on the bench. Jake Kenyon is one of the new wide players who's just there as a backup for these two, really. Jack Rolls, it's a shame I can't find a spot for him in the side because he was really good at the end of last season, but who do I drop? Exactly, too many players. Chris Atkinson, I really need to be getting rid of. He was here when I joined the club and needs to move on now. He didn't really play last season. He's certainly not going to play this season. James McKenna, poor lad, re-signed him on loan for another year with the promise we were going to use a holding midfield player and it was going to be him. And now we've stopped doing it again. And without a holding midfield player, there's no reason to have him in the team. So it's a bit unfortunate on him. I might let him go back to Stoke at Christmas. And then Paul Taylor, who, when he's fit, will definitely come in and he can play anywhere in the sort of free behind Clark Harris. So, let's get into the match. So, we're the favourites against Crawley. Yes, we'll mark him. Yeah, let's pick up where we left off. So, we're going to be calm. We're in a good run of form. So where does yeah, I just want you to pick up where you left off last time. Yeah, they're motivated enough. That'll do. Let's get into this match. So we're keeping the ball quite well for I mean, I know this is just the intro highlight, but on that odd occasion you score a goal from them, but not today. Cameron Gale has become the captain as well, with Sam Foley not getting in the side in this new system. Got to give it to the best player at the club, Cameron Gale. Still the best player I've ever spent money on. But Pack finds Stacey. Trickett Smith. Now look how deep he's dropped. He finds Gale. And then back to Trickett Smith, who finds Garvin. And because of Trickett Smith's movement, Garvin has lots of space. And I just really like the way Trickett Smith moves around in that sort of free role that he's got, playing as the shadow striker. And he's just doing a really good job at it. He's going to have a terrible game today. But I want him to play the way he has the last couple of games so you can see what I'm raving about, because I sound like a crazy man at the moment, because we're 25 minutes into the game and he's done nothing special yet. We're struggling for possession. We've only had one shot. It missed. Yeah, let's try and keep possession of the ball. That sounds like a good shout. See, we're dropping down to 14th again now. And it looks like after a run of a couple of good games, it's all going a little bit dull. Although we've got the ball here. Oh, Garvin. Trickett Smith to Clark Harris. Look how deep they both are. This is what I was saying about the two wide men being the furthest men forward. Stacey finds Gale. Gale to Stacey. Can he get it back out to Gale? No, he can't. And now we've potentially have a counter-attack against us because Gale and Tilney were both pushed on. And we were lucky to escape from that one without conceding a goal. Yeah, we need to get back into this game. Let's be a bit passionate. Actually, no, let's be assertive, because we can still win this. We just need to crack on. So I want my midfield. Let's tell them I want them to be controlling the midfield. Can we do that at half time? There you go. You got the ability to make a difference. Let's go and make that difference. And yeah, come on, Johnson, Clark Harris. Let's get a goal out of you as well. I have faith. So, into the second half. This isn't the free-flowing, attacking, awesome football we've been playing, which is a bit of a shame. It's always the same when I do these live comms. I was going to say record every game, but then we'd be rubbish every game. I might secretly record every game and then not tell Football Manager I'm doing it, so it doesn't make me look rubbish every time I do a live comm. We need to win the ball back here. This is a bit worrying. Yeah, as I suspected, a little bit worrying. We're 1-0 down, and this isn't part of the script. I was supposed to be showing off our fantastic new system today. I wonder if it's another case of the last couple of games where it's worked really, really well. We've been at home, and more than any previous versions of Football Manager, in Football Manager 16, I'm really noticing that there is a significant difference between how systems work at home and away from home. And perhaps going with basically 4 forwards and a control system is fine when you're at home, but when you're away from home, perhaps you need to be a little bit more reserved, or you risk having this happen to you. And yeah, we're taking a battering now. The longer this go, I mean, we have had a good run of form, so I've saved myself a little bit with that. But the more this goes on, the more I start to worry about how patient the board might be. They are a very patient, or the previous board were very patient. The previous manager was here for 12 years, and it was 12 years of lower mid-table in League Two for the large part. So hopefully I'm not going to get the boot for being in 16th place. But that was before the new chairman came in the summer, and we got in the playoffs last year, and expectations were set as playoffs. So perhaps they won't be as generous with me, because I've spent an awful lot of money. Probably spent over £2 million on players in my just over a year at this fairly poor League Two side, who don't really have £2 million worth of talent to show for what I've done at the club. Tilney with the cross, and Stacey does really well to pull a goal back there, and that's what I like about having the inside forwards, because he is tucked in so far, and that's a great cross from Ben Tilney. And Stacey, again, furthest player forward, most central, there to finish, and he's going to have a lot of fun during this loan spell. That's his second goal for us, and we need to make a change or two, because Novak is not having a good game at all, so we can bring Jonathan Abika on for him. Johnson Clark-Harris also not having a particularly good game, so let's bring Declan McManus on for him. In fact, I think we might do that. We'll leave it like that for now. Marlon Pack has been booked and isn't having a great game, so it's a bit of a risk leaving him on. Garvin is quite capable of moving over and playing in that deep-lying playmaker role. So I hope, in fact, we'll do that now. I'm too chicken. We'll bring Chapman on for Pack, and we'll just swap things around like that. Actually, no, we're going to bring Sam Foley on for Pack, because Sam Foley's much more comfortable playing the box-to-box midfielder than Chapman is. Chapman's another one who kind of wants to be the deep playmaker, but I'm just more happy having Sam Foley on the pitch. We need to go a bit more attacking. We've only got 10 minutes left. Why didn't anyone tell me we were still losing? I'm quite enjoying the game. That's the annoying thing. We're playing quite well. We need to get the ball forward, though, and hope we can grab a goal from somewhere. And if we do, we need to immediately go mega defensive to hold on to it. Abika's done really well there and is in bags of space. If he'd have just squared it to, I'd guess Stacey is number 28, he was in even more space, and that has to go down as a missed opportunity. Should we overload now? Let's overload. We've only got a few minutes left. I don't like doing it. I don't think it makes much difference, but it gives the match engine a little bit of a nudge to say, come on, we are trying to win this match. Give us something. But it doesn't look like it's going to happen, because it's a Crawley attack, and that is that. Full-time 2-1. There were positives to take from it. I'm not going to tell the players that. I'm far from pleased with that result, because we were in good form. So let's scream and shout at them a little bit. But there were definitely positives to take from that. So I'm going to stick with this system for a little while and see where it takes me. And if you've enjoyed today's episode, make sure you pop a like on there for me. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on all the future episodes. And we haven't set a like target for ages. So if we could get to 50 likes on today's episode, that'd be fantastic. It's been a little while since we've done that. So 50 likes today would be superb. Thanks very much for watching.